Ashe and grand rising to you all, my very beautiful people. Yes, you, my highly enriched melanin people. Very bright and sunshiny day to you all. It's I, the mystic philosopher. Yep, and I just want to quickly share with you a few thoughts and my perspectives on this thing called trust, or if you prefer this word called trust. I just want to give you another perspective on it this morning, or now this grand rising. Oh boy, the colonizers have so much control of our minds that we have to be constantly alert. We have to be on the alert at all times to try and say what we truly intend, what is intended in our minds. Anyhow, let me not get into that right now. So we're going to want to quickly share with you a few perspectives on this thing called trust, or this word called trust. Now, what is trust? What is trust? Now, as the natural native earthly humans, as we, the earth's original and organic humans, we, the earth's pre-Adamic humans, we, the earth's highly enriched melanin, or if you prefer carbon skin humans, melanin humans and carbon skin humans, that are today commonly called Africans, African ascendants. And please note, I did not say African descendants, because anything that is descending is in decline. Our enemies are always in decline. They were conceived and came about in decline, and they are always in decline. That's why they are descendants. But we are ascendants. Had it not been so, we would not still be here, considering all that they have done and is doing to us. So yes, we African ascendants, African people, the evidence has shown that for most of our lives, if not for all of our lives, we have been taught, and that we are being told, we have been taught and we have been told to trust. We have been taught and we have been told that we must trust. In fact, the evidence also shows that we have been and that we are being forced to trust. Forced to trust, meaning that we have been and that we are being cornered, trapped, held captive, and are put in situations wherein we had and we have no favorable alternative other than to trust. And not only have we been taught, told, forced, and are being taught, told, and are being forced to trust, but we have also been, and we are also being taught, told, and forced to be in submission and to obey. Simply put, we must obey. We have been taught that we must trust and obey. I can remember back in the day from a little kid, I was taught via one of their subtle techniques in their songs, trust and obey, for there is no other way. That is what we have been taught. Trust and obey, for there is no other way. The evidence will show that for all of our lives we have been taught, told, and we are being taught and told that we must trust God, and that we must trust in God. Or to be even more precise, as melanin people, and as I mentioned about, give the description of what we are earlier, we have been taught, told, and are being taught and told that we must trust in who? In the system's God. In the system gods. In the system savior and saviors. In the system's prophet and prophets and prophetess, etc., etc. And please note that for all of our lives, the record and the evidence will also show that we have never been taught, we have never been told, we have never been encouraged, let alone forced, to even acknowledge our God. Acknowledge our gods, our saviors, and our prophets and prophetess, etc. Meaning, we have never been taught, told, encouraged, let alone forced to even acknowledge our source from whence we came to be, and our most honorable ancestors, and our ancestral God and gods, etc., etc. But we have been, and we are being told and forced, I might add, to trust in our vile and malevolent oppressors, our persecutors, our slave masters and our slave mistresses, you name them, our enemies. And by extension, our enemy, and by extension, our enemies, God's saviors, prophets, and also in their hand picked, in their brain picked, in their mind picked race and group of humankind. That's what we've been taught. For example, we have been taught, told, and forced to trust in their government, and by extension, their governments. And please note, I want to please note here, please note that I did not say that we have been taught, told, and forced to trust in our government, and by extension in our governments, be they spiritual or physical government. But I deliberately and I intentionally say their government and their governments, because even the dumbest fools that regrettably are among us, let alone those of us whose common sense is activated, will or would agree that if the government, and by extension these governments and all the aforementioned participants and administrators were ours, if they were ours, then we would not be living or existing in tyranny and fear. We would not be treated, humiliated, beat down, brutalized, and put down the way we are. We would not have to be marching, protesting, fighting, and even humiliating ourselves, begging them, begging the evil ones for basic human rights, let alone for civil rights, or their civil rights, equal rights, and above all, we would not have to be doing all of this that we're doing for justice, to try to get a little justice to survive amongst them, or while they are amongst us, because they are the Johnny come lately. So please be not deceived anymore, my beloved people, but know thou this, that ours does not really and truly means ours. This is not our language, by the way, remember that? So ours does not really and truly means ours to us as it does to them. But more on that at another time. I've dealt with that elsewhere. Let me quickly move on. And so, to be even more precise, we have been taught, told, and forced to trust in the system. Yes, in it, the systems, we have been taught, told, to trust in it, the systems, governments. In our enemies' government and governments, we have been taught, told, and forced to trust in the system and its so-called leaders, be they their politicians, their pastors and preachers, etc., be they their police force, their police officers, their police men, and their police women. We have been taught, told, and forced, and are being taught, told, and forced that we should and that we must trust their science and trust in their scientists, and that we must trust them with our own lives without question. We have been taught, told, and forced to trust, and are being taught, told, and forced to trust in the system's professionals, be they their doctors, their vet and veterinarians. In fact, even vets are making drugs for us and overseeing the making of drugs for us. Yes, so we have been taught to trust in their vets, their educators. We have been, and now we are being taught and told and forced to, and that we should trust in their medicines, in their concoctions. And above all, we are now being taught, told, and forced to trust in their vaccines. And that we must, without question, trust in their vaccines and their vaccination programs. Without question. That's what's going on. So, what is trust? What is this thing that we have been taught, told, and are being taught and are being told to do? What is the meaning and definition of trust? Remember, again, it's not our language. Have you, my people, ever seriously taken the time out to examine and to think about what we have been and what we are being asked, what we are being taught, told, and forced to do? And especially since this is not, and I repeat, this is not our words, this is not our language. That's all, man. I deal with that elsewhere. I can't even get into that now. I don't have the time. And please note that it is not that we have been asked and are being asked to trust, but that we have been told and forced to trust in all these entities that I've mentioned. To be asked would mean that we have the option, or we have that we are given an option of trusting or not. They're pretty much given no option. But to be told and overtly, covertly, and subtly forced is to suggest that we really and truly don't have an option. Or at the very least, and as I've mentioned before, we do not have, or we are not given, any favorable option or options. So let us look at the word trust quickly and check their definition from the languages dictionary. As a noun, it is defined as a firm belief in the reliability, in the truth, ability or strength of someone or something. A firm belief in the reliability, in the truth, in the ability, or in the strength of someone or something. And it gives an example, as one example given by this dictionary that I am quoting from. It said, relations have to be built on trust. Okay, number 2, as a verb. And I quote, believe in the reliability, the truth, the ability and strength of someone or something. Example, I should never have trusted her. Okay, now the operative words in the meaning and definition of trust is the words believe and the word belief. The fact is that believing is not knowing. However, believing is the first step towards knowing. And to move from belief, or to move from the step called believe or belief, aka trust, which is another word for trust, is to step off, or to the step of knowing, to move from the step of believe or belief to the step of knowing, because it's a 1, 2, 3 step, actually 4 step, but I'll get into that another time. To move from believing to knowing, or from belief to knowledge, right? In order to do so, you must start ask questions, and you must be asking questions. So if you just accept and keep stuck, that's where you are stuck for life. Anyway, when you say, or when we say that we believe, or when you say that you believe, you are actually saying and admitting that you do not know, and that you do not, or if you are in transition, if you realize that this is not where I want to be, I'm going to move from belief or believe to knowing or to knowledge, and then you are in transition to the next step, then when you know, then there is no more need to, so let me repeat that. Saying and admitting that you do not know, or that you do not yet know. Yes. And when you know, then there is no more need to believe. Once you know, there's no more need to believe. You move from that step. You're moving forward now to understanding and to wisdom. But that's for another time. The same is true. When you say you trust, you are actually saying and admitting that you do not know if a person or if a thing is truly reliable, is truly trustful. You don't know that it has the ability or the strength, etc., to manifest the desired result or results. For wherever and whenever there is belief, faith, or trust, there is also doubt. And thus, to be stuck on the step of belief, faith, or trust can and will have deadly consequences. To be stuck on the step of belief, faith, or trust is a curse. Once you're stuck in that mode, you're on that step, you're a curse. So by logical deduction, we are literally being asked, taught, and forced to accept a curse and to live and exist under their curse and curses. Now, what is a curse? Let me quickly get into that. Simply put, a curse means that if or when you are negligent, bad things will come up on you. Evil things will befall you. Curse is for another time. I'll get deeper into that. I've dealt with that elsewhere. Check out some of my videos. We have been asked, taught, told, and forced to believe, to have faith, to trust, and we are being currently asked, taught, told, and forced to believe, to have faith, and to trust in the reliability, in the truth, in the ability or strength of the system and all of its aforementioned operatives and administrators. Simply put, our malevolent enemies, but not to know. They don't want us to know, and that we should never know. We should keep stuck there. Believe and you shall be saved. Believe, 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 believe. Trust, trust, trust. In some sacred scriptures, in fact, in the Adamic race history and all the book itself, it is clearly written and understood by those that are wise, that curse be the man or woman who trusts in another man or in another woman, and who makes flesh his arm, and whose heart has departed from his source or his God or his creator. So if this is all correct, then our basic activated common sense is here by telling us that to trust in a politician, any politician, man or woman, means that you are cursed. If you get stuck on the step of believing or trusting in anyone, you're cursed. You're cursed. Consequently, you are therefore doomed to deception, manipulation, disappointment, and destruction. You name it or you name them. If you put your trust in a preacher, any preacher, you're cursed. If you put your trust in a doctor, any doctor, you're cursed. If you put your trust in your partner or even your children, you're cursed. If you put your trust, as defined earlier, in Babylon or in Rome or their system of force and forces, you are cursed. If you put your trust in a government, any human government, you are trust in the system's government, you are cursed. If you put your trust in the system and its scientists, then you was a curse. If you put your trust in their medicines and in their vaccines, then guess what happened? Remember, I define trust without questioning, without verifying, you name it. You curse. You're cursed. If you put your trust in their money, in their financial system, you're cursed. If you put your trust in their force and forces, you name all the different force and forces that they have. If you put your trust in their guns, in their bombs, in their weapons, and all your other weapons of mass destruction, then no doubt this that you are cursed. And I could go on and on, but you get the message already. So why not, my people? I'm talking to you, my melanin people. Why not choose to know by asking questions? And by seeking answers to those questions. Because source is there to provide your answers. Instead of trusting in our enemies. Can't you see what they have done to us and what they are doing to us? Are you that blind and stupid? You think when they kill your ass and you cross over and meet with the ancestors, you can give them any excuse? When they give you the opportunity to know for yourself? Anyway. So why not choose to know by asking questions, by seeking answers, and to be more by knowing and by acknowledging Ashe, our source, our mother nature, our ancestral God and gods, and our most honorable ancestors. Why not? The truth be told, only then, and only them, our ancestors, and all that I've mentioned, our source, can save us from our enemies and the curses that they have cast and broadcast and that they are casting and broadcasting upon us. I think I'm running out of time, so let me end here. I am the mystic philosopher. Ashe, 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 I say.